Hello, everyone, and welcome to Coffee with Kathleen. And just in case you think that the coffee is fake, my lipstick today is giving me away that I've actually been drinking from this cup. But I will cop to something, which is I don't have coffee in this cup right now. It's hot apple cider. I love the fall, winter, start of spring seasons. I extend pumpkin spice weather as long as I possibly can. I love all of the cinnamony, warm flavors that we get during those seasons of the year. And I take advantage of them as often as I can. So speaking of time of year, pretty soon, if you'd like to hang out with me, I'm going to be going to NADA, or what some people call NADA. And that's going to be in Las Vegas this year. Repair Pal is going to have a booth. If I'm not meeting with a partner, running around the floor, or otherwise causing a scene or disturbance, you can find us in booth 6613 in, as in Nancy. I would love it if you're going to be there as well, if you would stop by and say hello, or if you'd like to have a longer meeting, certainly ping me ahead of time. I'm going to have one of my handy dandy calendar links for people to schedule with me, and that'll be super exciting. But that is not what we're here to talk about. I am a one-woman show today. I love these moments where I get to just turn on the recording here in my home office in Denver and just chat with you about what I'm thinking about. And so lately, what's been on my mind as we kind of wind down one year, start a new one, right? And the wind down and wind up process that we're currently in. It's a good time for reflection, and it's also a great time for action. And I have a couple different action points during the year. New Year is one of them, as with many people. And my other action point is oftentimes my birthday, because that's my new year. And it just so happens to be midway through the year in July. And so there's a couple of points during the year where I just sort of evaluate, hey, how are things going? What things might I want to do differently? How might I want to set up conditions for success? And so as I began this investigation over the course of the last few months and kind of decided on my New Year plan, one of the concepts that became pretty important to me was one called priming, or priming the pump. And that sounds very sort of technical-ish, but it's not really. It's about creating an environment that supports the you that you want to be, the things that you want to do, that creates conditions where success can flourish. Apparently, there are conditions right now where my dog can bark. So, conditions create the environment creates the atmosphere, and the atmosphere has a pretty profound effect on you, whether you realize it or not. So, it is really easy for us as human beings to make associations based on really simple things. And there have been a lot of tests that have proved this. So, for example, if you're taking a typing test and someone gives you a word like moon, and then the next word is sun, you will type sun faster because moon and sun are words that in your brain are probably related together. If someone gives you the word moon and then a word like train, you might type that a little slower because probably you don't have an association between those two words. So you will react or behave differently, faster, quicker, a little more readily with priming the pump. So as another example, there was an experiment done where they threw people in a room and people didn't know what kind of experiment was being run. And they gave them a lot of words like tired, run down, and old, and things like that. And then after doing completing what the people thought the exercise was over, they asked them to move to a different room. And then they repeated the same experiment in the second room by giving them happier and peppier words like sunshine and orange juice and energy and things like that. And then they asked them to transition back to the first room. Well, guess what happened? When they gave people all of the slow, tired old words, they moved much, much slower when changing location than they did after hearing the happy, excited, peppy words. So the question for you is, how can you surround yourself in an environment that just gives you cues for success? I mean, there's some easy ideas around, this pump priming, right? Like posting sticky notes everywhere, or, having morning manifestations. As many of you know, I'm on a mindfulness journey. I'm currently on a credentialing journey. Hopefully at the end of 2024, I will be a licensed teacher of mindfulness meditation, which is really exciting for me as I work my way through this. And I'll be doing my practicum in 2024 as well. So I'm really looking forward to this year because I'll be able to start teaching classes, and stay tuned for that. I do think I'm going to do some in person because I feel like that's a really important thing to be able to offer. But I'm also going to be offering virtual classes for my business community because it's my business community that ultimately I hope to serve most definitely with this mindfulness journey. So in any case, how can I prime my pump to be a better mindfulness teacher? Well, one way is, to create a little space, which I have here in my office, just off to the left here. I've got a little bureau. It's got the cutest little drawers and a little space on the top where I put objects that remind me, little kind of talismans in a way, that remind me who I want to be and how I want to show up, and that keep me grounded in some concepts like the fact that, there are people out there actively wishing me well at all times. I mean, that's a profound notion, right? So I'm having a bad day. I glance over in this direction and I think to myself, oh, someone is wishing me well right now. And then I just sit for a moment and think about that. And immediately I feel a lightening of my burden because I realize I'm not alone. Even though it's just me and an occasionally inappropriately barking small dog. But really, I'm never alone because I'm connected to you and I'm connected to other human beings. And that's a really important thing for me. I'm very much a people and connections person. If you know me, then you know I probably just love you to pieces. And so that feeling of connectedness, even when I'm not physically with someone, super important. So I want to prime my pump around that. I also want to prime my pump around making sure that even though the weather in Denver, so cold this time of year, so cold, that I've got to get outside. I've got to get that vitamin D into my skin. I've got to get moving. I've got to get out and go to the gym. I've got to go on a run. I've got to get in my miles for the year, all that stuff. I'm training for a marathon now, right? So there's a lot of things that I have as goals, things that I'm working on, working toward, things that I'm on the journey of. And really setting the stage for those things is pretty important in my environment. The most decorated room in my house is my office. And that's because, honestly, I spend the most time here, and every piece that I've put into my office, I've thought very carefully about because, again, I'm priming my pump to have amazing work days. And there are other ways that I can surround myself with these things. I can write myself little notes. I can journal. I can do morning manifestations or conversations. I can read books. I can talk to people who I know are supportive. So I can even, be really intentional about that. Friendships are not always easy as we become adults. Certainly meeting people who are kind and friendly, particularly in the industry that I'm in, I'm really lucky, full of amazing, wonderful, friendly, lovely people. However, creating really nourishing friendships with give and take in them is not always so simple. And so one suggestion that I have for you, which might sound a little over the top or a little extra, but again, if you know me, I'm not afraid to be a tiny bit extra, or a lot extra, as the case may be, is to make lists. So who are all the people in your life that when you're starting something new, let's say like me, you decide that you're going to go on a fitness journey. Who are all the people in your life who could support that fitness journey? Let's say that you're going to be doing something new or different in your career. What's your references list? Who are the people who inspire you around that? Who are the people who support you? Who, if you got a promotion tomorrow, who would you call? Who, if you had a challenge, who would you call? Who do you have in your life? Who are these boards of directors kind of that you can set up that are your supportive others? And how can you intentionally cultivate those friendships and those relationships around how they prime your pump and how they support and nourish you so that you can reach your goals? And look, I'm going to tell you right now, I want to be one of those people for you. And whether I'm that person just simply because you watch this podcast, you get some ideas about some ways in which, you can think about really setting yourself up for the greatest amount of success. Or whether that's because you've got me on speed dial, right? And you're going to be calling me when you need something, whether we're more LinkedIn friends and we're exchanging messages or emails there, whether we run into each other at conferences. Let's not have small conversations this year, people. Let's have big, audacious, ridiculous, outrageous conversations. I'm here for that. I want to know what you really want, and how in some small way I can maybe be a part of that. And so, what else comes with that? Sometimes a little bit of anxiety, right? Or a lot of bit of anxiety can come with really taking on something big. I'm feeling pretty nervous about whether I'm really going to be able to do a marathon. And so I've been pretty intentional about what are the things that are going to keep me from doing that? Well, obviously, if I don't, train properly, that's not going to be helpful. My brain, I get bored. And I'm trying to work with boredom because boredom is just another feeling that you may have. But sometimes I feel like, oh, this is such a waste of time doing all this running because, I have other things that I should be doing, or I have a laundry list or a to-do list or whatever. And I remind myself that this is one of those things that I set up as mandatory and that I'm going to do it and working my way through it. Right. But there are things that might keep me from it. Sometimes those things are avoidable. Like really working with your mental state, really practicing, training, taking all the steps you need to take. Sometimes those things are unavoidable. I don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. So, any number of things might come up and might keep me from that goal at this time. I don't really know. But the best thing I can do in this journey is really create all the conditions so that when the opportunity comes knocking, when the task or the challenge is directly in front of me, I am in the best possible position to take advantage of it and to really move my way through it. So that's what I will be doing for this year. I'm really going to be leaning in on my mindfulness journey and achieving that. I've got some career goals. I'm getting after that. I always get after that. My job and the people I work with and the people I work for and the industry that I work for and the people I surround myself with, you're all too important to me for me to not work hard for my goals. I feel like everybody wants to see me be successful. They expect me to be successful. And so I'm going to be as successful as possible. And I really got this lesson in calling in others through the help of one of the teachers of mindfulness that I'm currently following, and I'm attending a class that he's teaching. It's a virtual class. It's really lovely. I look forward to it every Sunday morning for 2 hours. I spend 2 hours on a virtual Zoom call with Lama Rod. And so I thought I might share with you his new book. You can see I've got a little page marked here because I'm going to read you something, but his new book, The New Saints, it's one of the things I'm reading. This is one of the ways I'm priming the pump. Is I am a reader, so I like to read books. If you're not a reader, then maybe this is not the way that you're going to prime your pump. But there's audiobooks, there's podcasts, there's YouTube videos. There is a plethora of free resources in a media format that you enjoy ingesting. So you don't have to limit yourself to what I do. You can do what you do, and make sure, though, that some of the things that you're consuming are part of that pump priming. You have time. I also do things that have nothing to do with priming my pump. I watch Real Housewives. Real Housewives of Salt Lake City is my jam. Love that show. Nothing to do with priming my pump. So if I have to make a choice, I'm going to choose pump priming. If I don't have to make a choice, I'm going to binge Housewives, right? So we do have time to do the things that we need to do for ourselves when we make intentional choices. And that's not to say that we can't do the garbage things that we enjoy doing, because those are important too. But we have to try to keep these things in balance so that we are reaching our goals and we are working toward that. So one of the ways that I think you can prime the pump, which Lama Rod talks about in the New Saints book, is he says, there are many ways we can experience pleasure. The phenomenal world is full of it. Pleasure is at the heart of all the sweet liberations. I enjoy beauty, opulence, and leisure. These experiences usher me into space, and it is in spaciousness I can experience the essence. I haven't always been able to allow myself to experience pleasure like this. I struggle with pleasure just as I struggle with all the other sweet liberations, because I feel like I don't have a right to feel good. So much of my ancestors' pleasure was policed and surveilled. Their physical bodies were never their own, so pleasure as sensation felt distance for them. I used to distrust pleasure because I distrusted my body. Okay? So this is the kind of wisdom and insight that's out there for you to gain. I'm really getting a ton from him. And I'm understanding that feeling good is as important as anything else that I'm going to do this year. So whether or not I make every single goal that's on this list, because, I've got a, list, look, I think I have pretty long arms for my height, but my list might be even longer than my arm. And that's okay. I want to get a lot done, and I will get a lot done, and maybe not everything done. But one of those things that I want to get done this year is experiencing pleasure and joy. So here's the second book. And this one, this one is a little heavier. And if you didn't think that Willie Nelson was a mindfulness coach, if you thought that he was just a country singer with an amazing set of braids, you were wrong. He is an incredibly soulful, truly amazing person. He is also one of my teachers. He is a part of the little altar dresser space that I have set up over here, because I believe that through his art, he is wishing me well. So I can call on him and his wisdom anytime I want, because he made his art very public for us to enjoy, thankfully. And he's got this book now, Energy Follows Thought, which is amazing. And he's got a song lyric, Always Now, that I'm going to read you. It's always now, and nothing ever goes away. Everything is here to stay, and it's always now. It's always now. There never was a used to be. Everything is still with me. and it's always now. So brace your heart, save yourself some sanity. It's more than just a memory, and it's always now. And here's your part. Sing it like a melody. There's really only you and me, and it's always now. There's really only you and me, and it's always now. And then about this song, he says, a common piece of wisdom is be here now. I like it because it reminds me to get our ass out of the past, stop thinking about the future, and stay planted in the present. Oh, really? Just beautiful. Just absolutely, absolutely phenomenally beautiful. And we are surrounded by these opportunities, people. We are surrounded by opportunities to open our hearts, to let in poetry, to let in music, to let in art, to bring in the people who wish us well, to prime our pumps, to reach our goals, and to think about who we want to be for everyone else. Because as we're all working toward a better future, the better future happens collectively. So I have, quote unquote, my goals, but they're not just my goals, they're our goals. So I hope that I've given you just a little bit, just an idea, just a taste, just a sampling of something that is so delicious, so yummy, that you can do in your year to make this the absolute best year ever. And not because better things are going to happen to you this year than any other year, but because you're going to be a better you this year. And you're going to tap into some latent potential, the river of ease that runs through you, the joy that you always have inside that you just need to touch into your dear ones, your sweet others who wish you only the best. You're going to prime your pump. You're going to set up conditions where when those opportunities come, you can take advantage of them. You can step into them. And of course, you're going to enjoy the sleigh in your upcoming year, and hopefully the Coffee with Kathleen episodes that are yet to be created. Thank you so much for joining me today. Happy 2024. I can't wait to hear from you and see what you're doing with your year.